G'day Steel Pushers. Today we're going to have a chat about working from home and how it seems to be something that's fairly common amongst businesses of all worlds at the moment, and whether it be in the corporate world, the capital equipment world, the office game, whatever it may be, it seems to be a pretty normal thing. So I think a good way to start is I'd definitely like to talk to you, Steve, about whether you think it should become the norm, if it has. We'll cover topics, whether it's working or not, or how it might have been for your experience, Steve, as a business owner, and what my experience has been as the guy on the ground. But guys, first of all, please remember to comment with any opinions you've got, any suggestions for topics we might like to talk about, or even if you just want to chat about what we talked about today. And remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to see more of our videos as they come out. So Steve, look, it's weird how normal it feels now working from home. It actually seems, for me personally, coming into the office, it's out of the blue. It's abnormal. I'm coming in for a specific reason rather than working from home.
We all got forced into it, didn't we? Good old COVID came along and business got sped up by about 10 or 15 years, I'd suggest, in some businesses, because it was forced upon us and we had to take action and we had to isolate ourselves and we had to, work from home. So I think what you'll find, and I keep saying this to everyone I come across, coronavirus was a magnifier. So if you're doing something well, whether this is in personal life or in business, it magnified the buggery out of it. So if you didn't have many mates and you're, a bit lonely, that got magnified. Your business structure was all right, and you're using Zoom and you're already doing some meetings and doing a bit of that, screen sharing, or for the steel pushers out there, showing the machinery by videos or by live demonstrations. That got magnified. And then if you weren't, it got magnified too. If you were just going to trade shows and expos and field days and you've just been doing it that way and you're just in the print, you just got caught out because it got magnified that you weren't spreading your marketing, advertising across some vehicles that are very strong.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Because a lot of people did do a lot of marketing. There was a lot of marketing that was done when coronavirus hit. It's just whether or not it was in the right place or it was the right type of marketing. There's a lot of people that I saw, even people that I speak to, my mates online, that are still in the print game or have business owners that they work for that are pushing print heavily. And it's just, they've doubled or tripled their spend, or they've done the opposite and pulled everything back. And it's interesting to see how everybody reacted to it. And that's why I think I'm all for it. I think 100%, I think working from home should be the norm. But it's not going to work for everyone. It just won't.
It doesn't need to be a yes/no answer. It can be a mix of it. It can be a bit of yes and a bit of no.
Yeah.
It can be, work from home 2 days a week, work in the office 3 days a week. It can be work in the office 1 day a week, half a day. You've got to work out what's right for your business and what's actually working within the structure that you've got.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not a yes/no answer. It's what is the best thing for the business and the people of your business. It comes with a lot of advantages of working from home, but it also can come with a lot of disadvantages.
Yeah, I saw just in these last 3 or 4 months, we've talked a lot about company culture and what it's like here. And the culture here is amazing, but that's not all that it takes. Culture's not enough on its own. It's just not. The individual is a huge part. The individual plays a massive, massive part as to whether or not it will work. Me saying 100%, I'm all for working from home. I'm as efficient here as I am there. It makes no difference. But the individual, they could easily take it as an opportunity to go, okay, I'll do the bare minimum. I don't have to be in the office. I don't need to make sure I'm up and looking my best every day. Coming into meetings just because you're sitting at home looking half asleep, it can have an effect on somebody's psyche. If you're doing that day in, day out, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, if I just coast on, I just do what I need to do on camera or on the board that's tracking me, if I just keep that minimum, I'll be okay. And it's that kind of mentality for people like that, 100% working from home will not work, and it should not be the norm. And look, that might be a bit big brother of me, but I say it all the time to you, do your job.
Huh.
Do your
Pretty
job.
basic, isn't it?
Like,
Back in old sort of philosophy there, you get paid a certain amount of money to do a certain job.
do your job.
But back to the magnifier, if you had some people who are in your business who aren't self-driven and they're a bit lazy on it and they come in and distract people,
Yeah.
when they go home, when they went home and worked from home, they distracted the buggery out of themselves because they found other stuff to do that wasn't the role, which was actually good for the business because they were isolated. It found out if they weren't trained. It found out if they weren't self-driven. We've found all that out. We've let some people go over this period.
Yeah.
And you know that over the last month or so, I had a bit of a clean out because there was some people in the business that I wouldn't employ today knowing that they would be working from home.
Yeah.
Because they're not self-driven enough to actually work on their own. They're driven enough to work in a team and get by.
Yeah.
Not what I'm looking for.
So if that case, all right, as a business owner,
yeah,
and as my boss, in future now, when you look at new staff, when you think about hiring new staff, is the idea of working from home as a normal thing now a big factor in how you would go and hire people?
Absolutely, 100%. It's changed for us. I mean, we've had our best 4 months of business of bringing on new business, best 5 months now of bringing on new businesses.
Yeah.
You're having your record patch of bringing on new businesses the last 3 weeks because you're driven, because you're doing the work, because people need to be in these marketplaces and be online.
Yeah.
So that's our advantage at the moment, and that's why it's working when we get the right staff working from home. There's a lot of distraction we have in here when we come into the office and, oh, how are you, and how's this, and how's that, and oh, you know,
Water cooler talk.
all that
10
sort of
minutes
stuff.
making a coffee, having a chat. Yeah.
I remember a business coach saying to me one day, he goes, oh, you'll be doing very well, you get about 2.5 hours work out. I said, what? You're kidding. So then I went and tracked a few of them and I was like, holy shit. I reckon I got about 3 hours out of that one. 3 hours out of 8.
No.
That's shocking, but that's the reality
Well,
of what was going on.
It came to light heaps from even just before all this happened, before the working from home, when we started tracking what everyone was doing and how they were going about their day. And not necessarily, just every second of every day, but just trying to put in place systems that were actually showing what type of behaviour you're experiencing each person's doing throughout the day and how much time they're spending doing it. Like something as simple as, having that time going, this is how much time you're on the phone. Yeah, but was that time useful?
Quality, valuable.
Yeah.
No, but that's where we put in, training of, working on the calls. You can't just abdicate. You can't let someone walk out the door and go home and just do their version of what you're wanting them to do. I had a big realisation of that probably about 3 years ago, and that's where training all came from, that useful training app that we use for you guys.
Silver Bullet back in the day.
Used to be called Silver Bullet, and they went out the back door because we didn't know what they'd watched. Oh, yeah. I've done all your training, and then you couldn't see what modules that they'd actually learnt, and of course, you've got to do that thoroughly because every person you've got in your business who isn't trained is a bloody disaster. You're better not to have them. You're better to keep them out of the business. If you're not going to put the energy and effort into training your staff, forget it. They're not going to do what you want. You're going to end up with disappointment. You're going to end up with frustration. And I can only sit here and say that because that's 14 years worth of learning of having staff that were untrained, who did their version of the world.
Coming up on Steel Pushers.
Commercial outcome. Everything in business needs a commercial outcome. If the commercial outcome ain't there, forget it. Because this mental health issue is a very big issue. And it's going to be a big issue across Australia, across the world because of this COVID. So people don't know how to do it to a high standard that will actually give them back success.
Ah, the life of a salesman. A brand new month, a brand new sales quota. Look out, world, here I come. But what if you had an app that brought in sales leads around the clock? An app that made it easy to advertise your machines in high definition, in full motion, and help you sell faster with market trends and sales training. Uplist is a sales tool in your pocket. See the demand, then satisfy it. Put your best foot forward. Helps right at your fingertips. Highlight what your buyers want to see. When your sales pipeline's thin, hear the ding, be the king. Buy better, sell faster.
So, benefits of working from home. I think one benefit I found, but it can be a double-edged sword for a lot of people, is you create your own workspace. And it's something you did very well, and the leadership team here established right at the start with the environment that we've been working on within. Because I think the benefit of it is you are creating a workspace that is conducive to you. However, depending on the individual, that environment could be hugely distracting. It could be hugely productive. I think that's a major benefit from home. For me personally, I found it.
What I've found, not a lot of people know how to set up an environment. And that's with their cars, that's with their houses, that's with their suitcases when they take it away. People don't know how to do it to a high standard that will actually give them back success. Like environment, if you just look at a couple of things that we do here, yes, it's an amazing location, big balconies, open, but things like stand-up desks.
Yeah.
Would you have found that if the company hadn't gone and done it? Someone like you, probably. I think you and I actually chatted about it. Yeah, that's right.
I bought it off a customer.
Yeah.
QPH. I bought it off the guys at QPH. She had one. I've got a spare one. You want it?
I'll take that. So the environment's crucial to someone's success, because if you're going to be in there for 6 to 8 hours, it's got to be exciting. And it's not just tick a box and it's done. I redo my environment once a month. At home, I chop and change things around. I'll have different things. I'll put in a pod plant, I'll take it out, do all these different things, different photos. How many times you go into, steel pusher, and geez, you got young kids. He goes, oh no, man, that photo was about 20 years ago, mate. So it's like, you've got to keep things up to date, because that refreshes so that your mind stays sharper.
Yeah, look, I think that's true to a point. I think there's a lot of people that aren't affected by environment as affected as you think they are. Even here, yeah. So you'll have those individuals that will turn and go, no, it doesn't matter where I work. That's an absolute load of crap. It matters like you wouldn't believe. You can't sit. It's okay. For example, the car is a good example. I know it's all about people working from home, but I cannot get in a filthy car.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse, especially if your mates pick you up and the passenger seat is just caked with crap and garbage. It's the same for your home office.
Yeah.
If your home office is just a trash heap, there's food wrappers everywhere, or it's, foreboding and dark or anything like that, it's not conducive to productivity.
Are those people with us anymore?
No, actually, I don't think they are.
No. Yeah, so environment's one. The other one is the behaviours, the activities, the discipline, the circuits that people run in their day when they're on their own. Do they work out in the morning? Do they do some exercise? Do they eat rubbish? Do they stand up? Do they work for an hour? Do they go for a walk around the block? Do they go for a jog at lunchtime? You know, COVID obviously in Melbourne, could they do 50 press-ups today? Could they do 20 press-ups? All that sort of stuff, which is all the little self-activities you can do to keep yourself up and about. So that's another good tip for people working at home. So when I'm seeing that in the staff, I'm like, oh, good. Because you know, this mental health issue is a very big issue. And it's going to be a big, very issue across Australia, across the world because of this COVID. So I've seen it with, out of 23 staff, I've seen it with about 4 or 5 who have had real mental issues over the last 6 months.
So how do you deal with that as a business owner that's got staff working from home? What's
high empathy, get them help, sometimes when people are in it, they can't sort of get out of it. Talking about it, bringing it up, being transparent, being open. I heard one of our account managers this morning, I was talking to her, and she said she actually emailed a lady. She was talking to this lady on last Friday, and she emailed her on the Saturday and said, I'm here if you just want to have a chat. I just sort of noticed yesterday I felt like you were a bit down. And the lady actually came back to her and just said, oh, yeah, I've had a few things, and then they had a chat.
Yeah.
But I bet you that lady felt better about it, because it's like we've all got to be there for each other and have this high empathy for each other and understand of the journey we're all going through. So working from home, you've got to be responsible for each other.
Yeah.
Because when we were seeing people in those meetings that were a bit slow on it, you've got to go into it. You can't just leave them.
You have to reach out.
You got to reach out.
I think that's, I agree with that.
And that's everyone's responsibility. That's not just the boss's responsibility.
Yeah. But
that is co-workers.
In a big sense though, you've got to be careful of how much empathy you invest in someone you are reaching out to, because it can affect you. I've seen it happen, this is long before here, I've seen it happen where somebody has reached out to someone struggling and suddenly they're struggling. They've taken too much on.
Yeah.
You know, their attitude goes from hyperactive and happy to aggressive and negative, and I've seen it happen. So I think you do need to be careful. I'm all for reaching out and making sure you do have that level of empathy with your co-workers, with your staff, with management, everyone, but be very careful of how much you give, because it can come back and it can go the other way.
Of course. But you can reach out and then pass them over to the right people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just them taking the first step.
So how have you found, in that note as well, being around the right people? And this is something I know I've loved. I've absolutely loved, and it's seen my family more. I think is a huge benefit working from home. Growing up, so I've only just recently had my first son. My first child.
On a bit now.
18 months. He's just had his first haircut the other day. He's looking sharp.
Yeah.
But I noticed before everything with COVID, it was those horror stories I was hearing on the news and talking to other people about it. And I'm sure there's so many of you guys out there pushing steel experience on a day-to-day basis. It's just not being able to see my son. It was killing me. Yeah. By the time I got home every day, he was in bed. I'd wake up and I'd get to see him for half an hour before I had to go to work. And I hated it. And now, and it's probably one big factor of this, why working from home is the norm, and I need to do everything I can to make sure that this continues, is because I get to see my family. It's a massive benefit and a huge tick in the box for me.
Well, you're all right because you like your family. So back to what I said earlier on about the magnifier.
You can choose
your family, but
you can't choose your family.
Some people are like, Jesus, I'm bloody got to hang out with them. No, I've loved it. It's been brilliant for us. At first, I was like, oh man, this is like 2 kids every day and a wife every day and a dog and a cat and everything else that comes with it. But it's been better for me. It's been good for me. It's you get that quality time. I don't travel far, but it's just that quality time where you get to hang out more and you get to do, I've done quite a few jobs around home and got a few things looking pretty nice now, which I probably wouldn't have this year because I would have been buzzing around going all over the place like I normally do. So back to the magnifier thing, if you were good in your home and good in your family, you just got magnified to be even better. So good, because you're with your young fella, because you won't, you know, you don't get those years back. If you haven't seen them and you've been the one who's leaving first thing and coming back late at night, and well, there's still bushes out there like that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get that time back. So it's back to what we can all learn from this and take from it. In the past, as a boss, I was always very cautious of people working from home. I hated the thought of people working from home. But because our structure is so good and our transparency is so good, and the people we employ have that ability to work from home, I'm excited by it now. I'm like, good, yeah, go home, work from home. As long as the outcome's there.
Yeah.
Commercial outcome, everything in business needs a commercial outcome. If the commercial outcome ain't there, forget it.
It's really important to have a visible accountability, like our dashboards. I think that's crucial. You can't just have, all right, everybody agree that this is what we're going to do.
Chicken on Friday. How'd you go? Too late.
No.
Week's gone.
I'm all for having self-responsibility and being left to my own devices to do my job. But that's not everyone. Not everyone will work on it.
And you don't always do it.
Yeah, no.
You slip off it sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's easy for me just to, a sales manager, to just say, oh, Lyndon, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then it's like, oh, yeah, I'll just hold that accountability.
Or everybody needs a kick in the ass every now and then.
I mean, you just need a bit of guiding. You just need to know that they know what's going on because it's transparent.
Yeah.
So in this moment where I'm feeling like, oh, I might just knock off a bit earlier here or something, when the brain does that, if you do not have the transparency of a system or accountability, the person will take, I'll knock off early. I'll just do it this one day. I'll just do it today. As soon as that happens, 3 days time, oh, a bit flat, 3 o'clock, you know, had too much sugar yesterday, did all this, feel a bit tired. Oh, just have a little lie down for half an hour.
Yeah.
Hour sleep. Next minute, the behaviours have dipped down.
Well, they turn into habits.
And they do.
They turn into habits.
But if you don't have a system that goes to that dude, oh, how was your sleep yesterday, Arvo? You only need to say a couple of things like that every now and then, and they go, you're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And when they live in honesty themselves and transparency, then they're like, yeah, thanks, because I needed to be held accountable and be back on track and actually do what I'm paid to do.
Yeah, well, the regular contact, regular catch-ups, because we meet 3 times a day, even at the end.
Used to be 5.
Used to be 5. Yeah, that's come off of late, and it was prep for the afternoon, finalise the morning. That was 5 meetings of constant catch-up and rehash, the real benefit of doing that is you can celebrate success as a group. So if somebody has a great day and somebody else has
someone in the group
rubbish
is.
day, because you can lift somebody who's just had just a day that's just run them off, they pissed them off, and then somebody comes in at the end of the day and goes, look guys, I've got us, don't worry. It's what I've been trying to do at the moment. We've got a goal that we set for the end of the year. I'm not working Christmas Eve, Steve, it's not happening. And with everything that's going on, we've got a lot of new staff coming through at the moment, and I'm just going, nah, I'm doing my bit. I've got to keep us on the line. And it's just at the end of each day, I want to draw attention to it. We're on track. We just need to keep our head down, keep going. Look, it's pretty clear we've covered a lot. I think I really do think that working from home can definitely become the norm. I think there's a lot of structure that needs to be put in place, very much like we've done here. But there's there's going to be a lot that comes to the surface that otherwise wouldn't have if you choose to do it. And you've got to be ready for it. You've got to be ready to either embrace it or cut it out. You know, I think that's something that's key.
I think, and you know, with this COVID at the moment, remember back at the start when it first came along, I'm like, oh geez, this is going to be a bad couple of weeks. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a bad couple of months.
Everybody was freaking out.
No, but what if this is a bad couple of years, or what if they don't find a vaccine for 4 years and people haven't mastered working from home?
Yeah.
What if it flares up again? You've got to protect your business. You've got to get out. You've got to go and deal with what you've got to deal with at the moment. Pandemic situation, you've got to come up with a pandemic solution, is my new saying.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with some machinery dealers, steel pushers. It's like, oh, we ain't got stock. It's like, that's your problem. Go and find some stock.
I get it.
There's other people who have got stock.
Yeah.
There's other businesses who have got stock. There's other suppliers who have got stock.
Yeah.
So, pandemic solution.
Pandemic
Come up
solution.
with a decent
Rather
solution.
Rather than wallow in the pandemic problem, find a pandemic solution. I like that.
There you go. That could be a t-shirt.
What do you think, Dave? What do you reckon? I know you said at the start it's not a yes or no, but can working from home become the norm? Can it be done?
Absolutely. It's an absolutely for me. It's to what level works for the business.
Yeah.
Is it 1 day? Is it 5 days? Is it 3 days? Is it whatever? Work it out, but absolutely. Everyone should be able to work from home.
Yeah, I think so too. Right, guys, look, it's been great having you again on Steel Pushers. Remember to leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the episode about the new format. New table. But look, we're always really keen to hear your opinions or see any ideas you might have for future episodes, what you'd like us to talk about in the future. And hey, if you want to be a guest on the show and you're in the capital equipment game, maybe shout out in the YouTube comments. But guys, it's been a pleasure having you again. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so that you get future episodes, and we'll see you next time on Steel Pushers.
See you later, guys.